I would appreciate if you would expand this lesson into more lessons in which you give examples of every single point you make. I'm having trouble understanding what you're telling us because you have compressed so much information into one video. Please expand this so that you have enough time to show an example of everything you say. So L5 man, thank you very much for the feedback. I really appreciate it. I know the last video is really packed, and if you haven't seen it, you can watch it here again. And in today's video, I'm not going to have an example for everything that I'm talking about in that video, but I want to talk about one point that I find so important and that I now know I didn't spend so much time on it, and that's how can you write your own exercises, or how can you compose your own etudes to help yourself to learn new material in a way that it really sticks. So I like to do this exercise with my more advanced students. We create exercises together in the lesson and they write it down in the notebook, and I encourage them to write even more exercises. And I'm going to show you today how I would work on such a thing. So the way this works is that I work on a tune with a student or for myself, and maybe there's one chord or one sound that I don't really have ingrained in my ear by now, and that I want really to take a deep dive and really take the time to investigate and really hear it. So for today, I picked just the chord like a G7, like a G7 13, which is like a basic jazz chord, right? Like a dominant 7th chord. And in this position, I can like visualize the G7 Mixolydian scale very easily, because it really you can visualize it easily, right? And I talked about this in the last lesson, how you can connect chord shapes and scale patterns in your brain. And so I would maybe start like this, play a chord, play a scale up and down. But since I already have done this many times in my life, I want to expand on the knowledge that I already have. And I think that's really the best thing that you can do, is to sort of, if you learn something new, connect it to stuff that you already know. So lately I've been checking out some more of Kurt Rosenwinkel's master classes, and I found a sequence or a scale pattern that he's playing that is just stacking 1/4 upon 1/4, so two perfect fourths on each other, and I really liked that concept, and I started practicing it. So I like the sound of that, right? So that's a good start. I like it. So I would take this sequence from Kurt Rosenwinkel and apply it to this scale. I play the first note up to the fourth, perfect fourth, and then again, this is the first note. And then I have like a little shape or sequence that I can play in the scale, and then I just continue practicing that. And that's what I do for a little while. Just play it and hear it, and maybe play the chord and just let it sink in a little bit, and look if I can come up with an idea after a little while. And then I think maybe I play the sequence only on the D, G, and B string. And then I think I could play that as chords as well, right? Ideas come up, it's quite overwhelming. I can play it on different string sets and in different rhythms, and that's the time where I sort of really like just take a part of it and I then develop an exercise from that. So now I'm going to try to find something that I can connect with this chord, but I'm thinking I don't want to play the root, maybe I want to have the A up here. So just like play a rootless chord and then just like take a part of this sequence that I just started. Right, and I'm always very thinking, okay, this is the top note. Maybe I can find a melody, right? So maybe I can play something. That ends here, right? So maybe I can play circling back. So maybe I start here. So maybe this is a start. And then I would maybe add in also those fourth chords that I just practiced. Right. So I'm having like different building blocks for the etude that I'm hopefully going to come up with in a second. But just to get into the joy of repeating stuff, because I really like that, because it gives me the chance to, for myself, to practice really, to really hear what I'm playing and not to think so much. So I'm now trying to find something that I'm going to repeat over and over again. So maybe something like this one more time. Right, so now I have my building blocks, but now I always want to make sure I'm practicing like in a 2-bar, 4-bar or 8-bar phrase. Maybe I play those 3-note groups if you want to as triplets. So 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Okay, that's 2 bars. Then I play the chord on the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need another bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That would be 5 bars, right? So I have to play that differently. So I could play the chords earlier. Maybe I do it like this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe like this. Is this 4 bars? One more time. 1 triplet, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And now I found myself like a 4-bar phrase. And before I write it down, because in my experience, if I play it a little longer, maybe I will change it up a little bit. I will just play it with the metronome. So I put it on 60 and I just played a couple of times. And maybe I put an accent on the 1, so I know where 1 bar ends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and I just would really start to practice it then, repeating it maybe 10 times in one position, and then just maybe moving it chromatically across the stress board. So let's make it a little faster and play it 80 beats per minute. This has been 60. 2, 3, 4. one part, so I would just like focus on the part I'm struggling for a second and just play this. I really want to play stuff so long until I relax a little bit. I can just play it slower, listen to the sound, and maybe add some accents. Maybe add an accent on the first note. Just to have some fun. Fun for me mostly comes if I reduce stuff and focus on the details. So now let's accent the second note. And let's accent the third note. Let's try to play the entire etude like this. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. And then I think, oh, maybe those chords could sound better in the way that I'm playing them, right? Always focusing on the details, so I'm playing. So now I'm trying to focus on the top note, like the highest note is the top note, right? The highest note in your chord. And I want that note to ring out the loudest. I can do that, but just focusing on it. Or not. It always has a lot to do with your inner hearing, right? And what you're expecting. So if you can't hear the highest note very well, you can just play only the highest note. Right? And then also a little bit the angle of the pick. And then I'm thinking maybe I can play long, short, long, like I'm playing the first one long, the next one long, short, long, short, long, short. Okay, let's do the entire thing. Yes, and let's do it one more time. And I really like to practice with the metronome and without it. Sometimes if I feel like it's maybe too fast, I just stop and try to get a good feel, and then I go back to the metronome. Going to put it a little slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can do that forever. And then I write it down, and you can have like a copy of my handwritten notes at my website tinajeckel.com. Just download it. But I really want to encourage you to get yourself like a music notation journal, something like this, where you can like write down etudes like this. It's a lot of fun, and I think you can see how many variations of this same thing is possible with like accents, different chords. But what it is doing, or what I like about it, is so much that I had like this chord forever with this position forever, right? Because I have been practicing it or playing it like this forever. But now I have like a new thing that I just like, connected to my knowledge, that I can, in a live playing situation, or when I'm improvising, can come back to and just like experiment a little bit. And it's in my ears and eyes much easier if you do that with like a little snippet, right? Not like I'm going to play all chordal harmony over the fretboard in displacement or whatever. Displacement would be another nice idea, but just like I'm only going to practice this, right? And then you can, of course, just like go to A flat, if you can, right? Next one. I really like the accents. Right, or whatever you want to come up. So really give that a try and find your own thing. I think this can also be like a leeway into your own compositions. I hope this was helpful, and I see you next week. Bye.